I don't want to overreact to, say, the Bengals. I think the Bengals have a history that we're leaning into if you say, hey, Cincinnati's going to bounce back. But Pittsburgh, I feel duped. I need you to remind me next August. Can you put a reminder in the calendar? Next August, when Team X rolls out in the preseason and they're tearing it up, and Steve's like, maybe I change my opinion on this team because of what I saw in the preseason. And it's not really just the preseason, to be honest. The Steelers had a great offseason, right? Mm-hmm. They had a nice draft. They've been building that squad. They've been getting the offensive line, creeping back past average. Second year of Kenny Pickett, supposed to look good. And they came out and lay an egg. The Steelers laid an egg. Or the Niners are just as awesome as we thought they were. Or a lot of people thought they were. So the Niners just did what they were supposed to do, and the Steelers really underwhelmed yesterday. 30-7, Niners win.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely one of the games that's going to get the overreaction treatment this week. I'm closer to reacting to the 49ers side of this than the Steelers side. San Francisco looked really good.
They did.
On both sides of the ball. Like, that's the important part. And the thing is, like, TJ Watt smoked Colton McKivitz at right tackle, and it still didn't matter. Like, he won that matchup comfortably and was absolutely destroying him.
We highlighted that. We were like, that's the matchup. And if you told me on Thursday when we were previewing this, TJ Watt is not only going to exploit the matchup that looks like the biggest mismatch in the NFL this weekend, TJ Watt versus Colton McKivitz, but Watt's going to win it, force 2 strip sacks.
Yeah.
All right, the Steelers have a chance in this one.
Right. He's going to have 3 sacks, 2 of them forced fumbles. You're like, well, that's what they need. That's how Pittsburgh, ends up causing problems for the San Francisco offense. That's how the 49ers, with their offensive line that's been really good the last few years, starts to creak. And it doesn't work as well as, didn't matter. Didn't affect them whatsoever. So that, I think, shows you how good this 49ers team was. The mismatch players they have. Like, we talk about this with Atlanta a lot. Like, they're sort of trying to assemble this collection of, like, monsters on offense, these absolute freak shows that you just can't match up with on defense. I mean, the 49ers are already there, and their players are better and more proven, and they have a quarterback that can get them the ball. So we saw Christian McCaffrey look amazing. George Kittle, every time they got him the ball, was making plays and picking up yards that shouldn't have been there. Brandon Ayuk looked uncoverable. Like, their collection of skill position players are amazing. And Brock Purdy, he isn't great, but his ability to extend plays and add value to this offense is obvious every time you watch him play. Like, there's such a difference between, like, what Jimmy Garoppolo can do when the play starts to break down and what Brock Purdy can do when the play starts to break down. It's not like, he's not Patrick Mahomes, but he's just consistently able to extend the play a little bit longer and get something positive out of a play that was going to go to hell. And that's so valuable on an offense that's already working really well.
Yeah, Brock Purdy's game was really interesting because he did fumble it twice. Okay, he threw another pass that probably should have been picked.
One of his recoveries, by the way, was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, TJ Watt forces the fumble, chasing him down, and then Purdy manages to secure it behind his back on the ground before TJ Watt can get hold of it.
So I thought Purdy, look, those plays count, right? I thought putting it on the turf, he was kind of blindsided a little bit. Those count. Those matter. They don't show up in his passer rating. That was 111.3. He put the ball in harm's way a couple times, fumbles a couple times, and he has a dropped interception. Other than those 3 plays, Brock Purdy, I thought, was absolutely fantastic. The offensive line that we have highlighted as a concern for the 49ers, they weren't great up front, right? For a team that was very efficient and ran the ball well, but the pass protection was not good, other than, of course, Trent Williams. Pass protection was not good. And Purdy, as you mentioned, maneuvering the pocket. His pocket movement was fantastic. Ran when he needed to, bought time when he needed to, found open receivers. I thought Purdy played a really good game where there'll be some turnover-worthy plays that count, that, a little lucky that they didn't have a bigger impact in the game. You mentioned the nice recovery. But I thought overall Purdy looked pretty good. And we give Joe Burrow a pass for maybe being a little rusty with his injury. Like, if Brock Purdy came out here and looked rusty, I'd probably give him a pass.
Sure.
Or we might give him a pass, or we might say, oh, yeah, he's a 7th-round pick.
Right.
He's Mr. Irrelevant. He's coming back down to earth. But Purdy was impressive. against the Steelers defense that was pressuring him.
Yeah.
Right? Don't just look at the scoreboard and say, well, the Niners won up front. The Niners actually didn't really win up front, even in the run game. Right? A lot of it was Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk making blocks down the field. The Steelers played well up front, other than some missed tackles on a few run plays. And Purdy did a really nice job handling pressure.
No,
right? Like he did last year.
He really did.
So credit. I'm going to give credit to Brock Purdy, even though there were some turnover-worthy plays in there.
Yeah, no, like he's going to be this weird case study where I don't know that he's that good, but he's good in the right area that perfectly complements this offense, because we know this offense manufactures open looks, and not just Shanahan. Like, we give a lot of credit to Shanahan, but talk about the players that he's throwing to as well. Like, the fact that he's throwing to that list of mismatch problems is as big a factor as Kyle Shanahan putting them in the right place at the right time. It's a cheat code for success. But then the strength that Purdy currently has is this ability to extend plays and just turn something like relatively crappy into anything positive. And that like perfectly complements the weakness, or the whatever weakness you can create for this 49ers offense. Like, if you can take away the first thing, now the efficiency starts to diminish, but then he's able to add that back on top because that's his area of strength. So he's a strange player where I don't know that he's that great, but his numbers and his production are going to look insane because he's being propped up by that offense and then adding value on top of that in the one area where that offense doesn't have an answer. Like, that's what makes him so right for this current system.
So I think from a 49ers perspective, they are who people thought they were, right? Good luck matching up with this offense. Fierce defense that can rush the passer and has some playmakers on the back end. And the other point that I wanted to make was Brandon Ayuk at receiver looked like an absolute star yesterday. When we list the playmakers for the Niners, it's Deebo Samuel, because he could go all over the place. He's a good receiver, good running back. It's George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, who also looked like a star. But they have Brandon Ayuk playing like a star. This is where he took over training camp this year, and you get all the training camp hype at year 3, is it, or 4 for Ayuk, and it's carried over. The routes are unbelievable. He made Patrick Peterson fall down on his first touchdown by just, a little jab step. Unbelievable. And then on Christian McCaffrey's 65-yard touchdown run, where McCaffrey was fantastic, breaking free and running away from the defense, it's Ayuk down the field, pancaking a defender.
Great block.
Ayuk was one of the best players in the NFL this week, and that is just scary for the rest of the NFL because he's supposed to be the 4th playmaker that you mention in the list, and he looked like an absolute star.